It's nothing. There is no soul. But that's the only part of you that keeps you alive. You can bring a car back to life, but you can't bring a body back. What is that thing that makes an actual life? Once it's gone forever. I don't know. It's a good question.
You're not sounding very atheistic right now.
It's not atheism. I want to make a new word. Maybe you can help.
Okay. Your dad is a Holocaust survivor, as is your grandfather.
I was looking back at a thousands-year-old religion, and then it was like, oh, maybe I don't believe in any of this. That religious Ari is way gone.
Hey there, it's me, Rainn Wilson, and I want to dig into the human experience. I want to have conversations about a spiritual revolution. Let's get deep with our favorite thinkers, friends, and entertainers about life, meaning, and idiocy. Welcome to the Soul Boom Podcast.
Explain the shirt here. Let's go.
Well, the mushroom says Bert is fat. Bert is he's a comedian.
I know Bert Kreischer. And
well, then you're aware that he's fat.
he is fat. Yeah. I don't need a mushroom to tell me that. What's the story there?
I don't know. Somebody made it in Cleveland, some fan. So I kind of love the shirt.
The
mushrooms will speak to you, man. It tells you the truth.
Yeah.
So Bert is fat. You can cross-check it.
There you have it. I was really excited to have you on this show. You know, a big fan from way back, cringing as I watched The Amazing Racist.
Oh, nice.
And fascinating story. And there's a lot I want to get to, but I just want to share my Jewish heritage with you.
Okay, I didn't know you were.
Look at me. Drink me in right now.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest, whitest, most
Yeah, it could have been in a tower.
blandest. Exactly. Yeah. I would, and I'm still available to play Nazis.
Yeah.
But my grandmother.
The shower's broken. Come in here and fucking fix these pipes.
I would be the Nazi plumber.
Yeah.
That would be. Yeah. Not the evil Nazi.
What was your grandmother? She's
Marie Nunberg.
Oh yeah.
And my aunt is sure and has done the genealogy, and she's Jewish, and then the rest of the family was just like, she's not Jewish. She's not Jewish. She's not. It's like, her name is Marie Nunberg. Yeah. She's from Nürnberg or northern Romania, and I heard the podcast episode with your dad about the Holocaust, and it was right in that same area. It was the Transylvania kind of area that she was from, and I know that doesn't count because she's my dad's mom.
It counts a little.
A little bit.
I'd be done with that.
A little bit. My dad had jet black hair. Yeah, he had a little more, some more Jewish features.
Damn, there's a bunch of people online now going like, this is how we got The Office.
Exactly.
It must be that.
Maybe you get tired about talking about this. First of all, you got a new comedy special, America's Sweetheart. You have the best comedy special names ever. America's Sweetheart, and the one before this one was called Jew.
Yeah.
Check it out. I have to go there. I know you've talked about it 1,000 times, but you grew up Orthodox Jew. You were studying in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Your dad is a Holocaust survivor, as is your grandfather. Incredible story. You made some jokes in your special Jew about the difference between Hasidic Jews and Orthodox Jews.
Hasidic Jews are
part
crazy.
of Jew and A.
Yeah, we looked hot. They were better than us, Jewish-wise. They were crazy.
Okay.
You're like, no, that's the high. They're doing more. They wouldn't hold hands. But again, I saw in Montreal once a Hasidic Jewish guy just letting out a hooker out of his car. And it looks wrong because they're dressed like rabbis. He's not, but it's like they still have their desires.
Sure.
Of
course.
I mean, the priesthood is full of that, where it's like it doesn't go away.
I've had a couple of friends go through rehab, and they've talked about Hasidic Jews in rehab. And some... all kinds of stuff going on.
They don't get any release.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the subway masturbators, I would say a higher than average.
Plus you have the robes too, so that helps.
You get through, you hide it.
Yeah,
nothing's moving.
Easy peasy. Whenever I want to subway masturbate, I dress like a Hasidic Jew.
Oh, that's the way. Yeah, then no one looks at you.
And then I channel Marie Nunberg, and it all works out.
Yeah, they were like better Jews than us and more into it. And then also they had this system of like, you give charity so that they can study the Talmud for you. Kind of like a co-op, like a weed co-op, where it's like 10 of you grow, I'll be part of it, I'll buy. Mm-hmm. So like you guys study the Torah, I can't, I got to go to work. And so you just pay for them to live.
How do you go from there to like Netflix starring stand-up comedy? How do you go from Yeshiva, you go to University of Maryland, what are you studying there?
Yeah, so I had this like crisis of faith. I think that was the
And that happened in Israel.
that happened in Israel, and it didn't like.
And what was it? All of a sudden, or was
It was the first
kind of like
thought,
this is bullshit, or
and then
there's
a
no
nag,
God?
nag at me, like, hey, how come I don't believe in this as much as everyone else? There's a book on introversion, Quiet. Susan Cain wrote it, and it's just like, hey, do you ever feel like you're not having quite as much fun at a nightclub as everyone else, and you can't quite put your pin on it, like figure it out?
Yeah,
because you're an introvert, and it's a third of the world, and you're not supposed to be there. Something's nagging at you, but you don't know what it is until you see it put into words. And so it was like nagging at me, but until you could hear it, and then it was like, oh, maybe I don't believe in any of this. So it was when I got back here, went to Yeshiva University, a split curriculum college in New York, and I'm like,
and you're still partially doing Jewish studies.
Okay, I'm doing it all.
Okay.
I'm fucking up more and more. No, actually, that had not happened yet. I was still doing it all, but I was like having doubts. And then when I was like, I think I'm out, I had to do stuff quietly. So I'd lock myself in my dorm and watch like Next Generation, but on like on my like TV VCR in the dorm.
Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Yeah, I just remember watching that.
That was your gateway.
It was drug? Friday night. It was on, and I loved it. Data had a lot of points.
I love that.
Yeah, but I'd like piss in a jar and keep it in my mini fridge because if they knew I was in the dorm, they'd be like, "Where were you at services?" So I just didn't want to get into it. So. Yeah, that started a lifetime of pissing in jars on podcasts. And then I got out, and then I had to deal with a long period of like, first like agnosticism, then hard atheism. Like, you guys are idiots. And I think this is a common path, actually. Mm-hmm. And now I want to make a new word. Maybe you can help.
Okay.
Let's apply it to hockey. Some people love hockey, and some people like fucking hate hockey. And some people are like, oh, I don't think twice about hockey. No one in the Congo thinks about hockey if it's a good sport or not.
Yeah.
They just don't think about it. So it's not atheism. It's I don't care.
Okay.
That's where I'm at now. Where it's like, I'm interested a little bit to hear about Baha'i or whatever, but I'm like, I don't know. I just don't. It's just like, I'm not like, maybe I just don't know. It's like, I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay.
So I think there needs to be another word, a disinterested in religion, rather than I'm not sure.
I would say, using the hockey analogy, I really never think about hockey. I don't give a fuck about hockey.
Yeah.
But when I see a hockey game on TV or in a bar or something like that, and they stop the game and they start punching each other, I'm like, this is ludicrous.
Yeah,
and maybe
you can apply that.
So that kind of works to religion in a way, kind of like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Can you imagine this in any other sport? Even the NFL stopping it and like two linebackers like going at it, like give them some space, let them blow off some steam. It's preposterous.
Let them go until they go to the ground. Yeah.
You know, and
that's a lot in religion.
And so you kind of do that with religion. It's like, I don't think about it. I don't think about it. I don't think about God. And then you see something, you're like, wait a second.
What are you guys doing?
Come on.
Yeah. It's like, that's so stupid, but I mean, do what you want.
You're speaking in tongues? Like, really? Do you think that you're being possessed by a demon? And
yeah. I know you're lying.
Yeah. You're just going,
yeah. It's fun to break down what these things were. Also, there's this idea of the golem is like a protector made out of mud, and you carved the name Emet, which is truth, in his forehead.
Right.
And then and then he protects you in pogroms, like when you really need like a boogeyman to come and like.
It's the original kind of zombie. The original Frankenstein was the golem. Yeah.
And then you rub out the E from his forehead, from Emet, and it just spells Met, which is death, and then it turns back into like dirt.
That's kind of cool. That's science fiction.
Yeah. So somebody was like, so where does that come from? That didn't happen, right? If you don't think that's real, then what was it? What was it based on?
Yeah.
You know, was the flood, was it a great flood for the whole world, or was it just that region? Oh, maybe it's just that region. You didn't know the whole world existed. So you think this must be everywhere.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. Somebody said it was like the original like MK Ultra, and you had Down syndrome kids and try to like get them early and try to train them to attack.
Wait, Golems was the training of Down syndrome kids
to be violent against the Russians.
Violent?
Yeah, against the Russians and the Polish. Yeah.
And you had like a whole troop of them, and you're like, attack!
Yeah, when I say the word, and they're like, okay. Yeah. They actually had a wrestler at Eugene who had more strength than you would think he would in the WWE for a while. He wasn't as big as the other guys, but he was just stronger. He was Downs. Not really. He was just playing it.
Wait, there was a wrestler pretending to have Down syndrome?
Bro, it's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Eugene. he could beat up, and the only way that people would beat him was to convince him that like, no, we're friends. We're not really fighting. But then if he like thought the fight was fun, then he'd go too hard.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have any connection from your Orthodox past to your yeshiva training to you at open mics? It's a pretty rare path. Come on.
Yeah, not a lot. It's not a lot. So it wasn't anybody to really lean on for that. Couple like religious.
I mean, a lot of secular Jews, obviously in Hollywood. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was that like you were really religious was like you come across an occasional agent or something that was, and you're like, oh.
Yeah.
But they don't have to. I remember my rabbi told me like, can you not perform on Friday? I'm like, I mean, that's one of the bigger nights. And he goes, can you do it in a shinoi, which is like a strangeness. If you absolutely have to do something.
Yeah.
Like let's say you're having a heart attack and I got to drive you to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, we're not waiting. It's like, you gotta, there's no like, you can't drive on the Sabbath. Like if someone's dying. You have to help.
Sure.
He goes, but try to drive with your left hand instead of your right. Do something strange so you're aware of it. He goes, can you pick up the mic with your elbows? And I'm like, no.
Well, who was this rabbi that
I
we
was
were
still
talking
to my rabbi from seminary. He was trying to get me back slowly.
In Israel or in New York?
Israel, yeah. And then
So
when he
you were in LA doing open mics talking to your rabbi in Jerusalem.
Yeah.
What were those conversations like?
He cared about me.
Yeah.
You know, he took to me. So it was like, it was just one of the rabbis, but he always like
Do you
really
still keep
liked
in
me.
touch?
No, I need to. But he would come in for like recruiting visits and then like, let's go out. I wonder if I ever brought him to a comedy club. I think I did. He was like, it's a little cursy. But he was like, I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
You know, my parents too, they were like, listen, we don't like these jokes about fucking chicks with herpes, but we like that you're getting laughs, you're being successful. That's nice. We're proud of our son, you know, the content.
That's great. A lot of parents would not take that step.
Yeah.
That must have been so alien. When did you bring your dad, the Holocaust survivor? When's the first time he saw you do stand-up?
He's come. They came to the DC Improv a few times. So nerve-wracking.
Oh my God.
So nerve-wracking. Because also
do you change your set a little bit knowing he's there?
No, but then I remember once he came on the Jew tour and there was a joke I didn't fully do about him like finding out that I'm not religious. And I was like really worried. I'm like, maybe I should take this out. I don't want to bring anybody any pain.
What's the joke?
Just about him saying I'm lower than a dog because even a dog believes in God.
Yeah.
And then just going like, there's no studies on that.
Where's the data on that?
Who says that?
Yeah.
But we are totally cool now. I just added more stuff like we're fine. We're totally, it was just a brief like trying to wrap your head around it. But with stand-up nowadays, you got to kind of worry about who else is going to be involved. Like I can't tell a story about you and me going to get hookers in Tijuana and use your name. That never happened. But like, and use your name without knowing like, oh, this might get him in trouble with his chick.
Right.
Like, okay.
But it's also grounds for a lawsuit. I wrote a book and I talked about me and my friend doing drugs, and they were like, you have to like get your friend to sign off, like literally on an email saying, yes, it's fine for you to do that because.
Yeah, so it's like you got to worry about this stuff now.
Yeah.
I didn't used to because it was so like small. You're performing for 30 people at a time.
Yeah.
Who would find out that chick you had a crush on in grade school? Like that they're not going to find her. But then like Shane Gillis had one where he's talking about some chick dumping him in school, like in grade school, and then they like found her and started being like, "You fucked up, you dumped shit." And he was like,
"Oh my God!" They started like doxing her and trolling her.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
we were in 8th grade. You lunatics.
Wow.
So it's like you got to like suddenly worry.
Another aspect of your story that I find fascinating, and I've seen you speak about it in a couple of interviews, including Joe Rogan, about your mental health issues. Very serious depression and suicide stuff. When did that hit you? Was that a constant?
No, it hit. I don't know. It just hit. I don't know what sets it off.
Were you in no kind of therapy, no kind of medication through the early 2000s doing comedy?
Yeah. I took a little bit of Ritalin in high school. They tried. That was when they were prescribing every middle class child who wasn't getting A's. They were like, let's get him one-time test. Let's get him some Ritalin. I didn't take to it, but only for like a few months even, not even 6 months, I don't think. But then nothing, and then it just set. I think it was living with the lady, broke up, she moved out. I try to tell people like it's not about how traumatic it is. It's just you just got a sprain of your brain, and you need to set it to fix. And until you set it to fix, it just doesn't fix. And you could sprain your ankle playing like high level basketball,
you feel like
or just walking down the curb, you know? So
Okay.
there's no like that made you get depression, whatever. It's like, there's no that. There's
But
no
that
like,
was like an inciting incident. That was like a trigger incident.
possibly.
That's
So there's a few. Either she left, shifted my world a little bit, where it just kind of shakes it up, where then you rattled, or very possibly hair loss drugs. That there's tons of studies now that's causing depression.
whoa, like what is it called?
Not Viagra, the other one.
Propecia?
Propecia. Not the rub-on one, but the
Yeah.
pills.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there's tons of lawsuits. So it's kind of one of the few like ads I won't take on my podcast, because I'm like, I think you guys are fucking with people. That and like gambling stuff, where I'm like, nah,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody getting hurt from me making some money.
Right.
So it was one of those two things, I think. And then and even if the causing factor changes, it still stays.
It sparked something.
Yeah, like if you did, you know,
And what year was this?
so this was probably like 6, 7, 8 years into comedy. So probably 2005, 6.
Mm-hmm.
Career wasn't going particularly well, but it wasn't that. It was still like I was having fun. Success was always.
Did you feel it chemically? How did it manifest itself?
Everything
Did you like
was
wake up?
damper.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't leave my apartment for a while after that chick left, and then my friend David Taylor had to come over and be like, just knock on my door. I lived down the street from the comedy store next to Pink Dot, and then he was like, "Open up," and I'm like, "No," and he's like, "Open up," and I would start hoarding. I just like would collect everything. I stopped cleaning when she took over that responsibility, and then when she left, it was just out of my realm of ability to do it. So stuff would just pile up. I had to throw some plates away because they were so caked on with like macaroni and cheese.
Was it a serious heartbreak?
No, it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
So that's why it's like, it wasn't even like.
But it just set it off, and there might have been some other.
Yeah, and it might have been the pills.
Mm-hmm.
It really might have been.
I had a friend
but
recently who talked about taking Ozempic, and it made him really depressed. Like he got like within 2 weeks he was like suicidal,
Wow.
and then went off it and feels fine. And the doctor's like, well, I haven't heard of that before, but you know, maybe it happened. I don't know.
But they're also, the Ozempic people aren't, I mean, we're learning more and more about pharmaceutical companies and their lack of care about us.
Oh, sure.
So they're not going to really make sure to tell the doctors like, but hey, be careful if you know.
Yeah, watch out for these signs.
Yeah. I mean, if you borrow my car, I'm like, hey, the brakes are shitty right now, so don't,
Right.
you know, I should warn you instead of going, and then the brakes are shitty and also the taillights out. I mean, every side effect, they just skate past.
Yeah.
Anyway, so whatever it was, but it just wouldn't fix. And everything was just damper. Have you had depression ever?
I have, yeah. Mm-hmm. More anxiety, but I've gone through some real depression stuff. How did you get out of it? Did you go to therapy? I know Joe Rogan told that story about
I was
needing to get you help.
Yeah, he's such a friend.
What?
But like, it was just like the good days would be okay. I mean, the great days would be okay, and the bad days would be terrible. Everything was just like a step down, right? If your team won a title, you'd be like, all right. Instead of like celebrating for a month, you know? Mm-hmm. Everybody could see it on me. I couldn't hide it. I was trying to hide it, but I couldn't. I was just
Did you go to therapy? Did you?
So I tried. SAG insurance, they were.
You were pretty broke.
Yeah. So I doing commercials here or there. So I had the SAG insurance, and for the health, it was pretty good. For mental health, it was pretty shitty.
I remember back when I paid for like 10 sessions a year or something like that. And like how
not quite enough at all.
How's that going to work?
Yeah, should I go once a week? Like, yeah, you should, but
yeah.
But then every one that I tried to go to was also mental health is kind of weird that like the best ones don't take insurance. Mm-hmm. Like regular doctors, I don't think. Maybe the high level brain surgeons don't take insurance. I don't know, but in mental health, it's like if you really want to get. But I didn't have the money to get it off, and I assumed every doctor was good. I didn't know there were levels of doctors.
Right.
One I really related to. I was actually talking to Rogan's manager, a friend of mine, and I was just talking about stuff, and I was like, yeah, I started going to therapy, and then mentioning like the suicidal thoughts, and she goes, have you mentioned that to them? I'm like, do you think they'd be interested in that? She was like, just bring it up. Let's see. Maybe they would. I don't know. Yeah, just like resign. I had one therapist tried one pill, tried another pill. I'm like, it's not working. And then she just goes, well, then I don't know, man. and just like pretty much like gave up on me, and I wasn't willing to fight for it. So I was like, got it, loud and clear. I'll work up the courage. I'll get it. I'll get it when I get it. But I'd walk under like construction sites, like hoping a fucking brick would fall.
Yeah.
Hoping it would take care of it. Turbulence on planes was a joy. Because I'm like, do it for me, you know? It was like actually kind of fun. But this new special, I'm trying to look at the positives and everything. Mm-hmm. And man, that depression really made me, I had a therapist actually tell me that. A good one. He was like, he goes, so Rogan paid for the one that prescribes stuff.
Yeah, psychiatrist,
and then a good therapist.
Yeah.
And the good therapist guy was like, what's the positive from this? And I'm like, no, it's terrible. He goes, I know it's terrible, but is there any part of it that's good? And I was like, well, I guess I'm looking at the world in a more bleak way, and that can translate to my stand-up in a solid way. Like to see like the underbelly of things and be able to make fun of it is fun. Like if you look at politics and be like, they're all great. It's not as funny as like they're all crooks. You know? So I was like, oh, well, that helps in that way. It goes, okay, use that as the first ladder and start trying to like mentally pull what are the positives are there. But it was just the pills. It was try this.
What did you land on? Lexapro or Celexa?
There was one.
Wellbutrin
I took for a while. Didn't know about the sexual side effects.
Okay.
So those are like, how much could you put up with? And also like, are you feeling better even? You got to give it like a month before it'll catch in or not and slowly raise the dose.
When I was on Lexapro, it took out the lowest lows, but it didn't necessarily relieve the depression.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So, which was nice to not have the lower lows.
Right.
But
there was one that I took. He said it was an 80s drug that went out of popularity. But because the side effect was weight gain. It would give you hyperphagia.
Okay.
Which, what a time. It was the inability to feel full.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Bro. The late night. And we couple that with weed. And it's just like, I'd have to tell myself, like, hey, man, 7 plates of spaghetti is enough, right? Like, you know this means full. 2 plates is plenty. And I'm like, I would clean out everything and make combos and just like bagels and Cheerios and peanut butter.
What did you weigh compared to now?
He said, expect to gain 15% of your body weight. But I was pretty thin. So I probably went up to probably 10 pounds over what I am now.
Okay.
So I was like,
Not that bad.
I can live with that.
Yeah.
No coming is like actually like you don't want to like seem shallow, but that's like a legit problem.
It's for real.
Yeah. Getting to like, I don't know, Oklahoma weight is like, okay, I can do that. You know?
Yeah.
Cleveland weight. Less than Cleveland weight.
So how long were you on that?
Probably 7-8 years. And then it was like,
it helped you turn the corner.
Once I got, it was like, old self. It was like 25 milligrams, 50 milligrams, 75. I think it was 75 milligrams. Like, try this for 2 weeks, try this for 2 weeks. And then it was like 3 days in, like, boom, wow, I'm back.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like these massive highs, and it wasn't like zips if I don't take it. It was like an ongoing thing, and I just felt fine. I had the ability to feel some happiness.
Some joy.
Yeah. And it took away the lows, like you said.
Were you coupling this with therapy at the same time?
Yeah.
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 What did you unpack in therapy?
But it's like the stand-up is a therapeutic thing. You can deal with your problems.
Yeah.
And you have to kind of look at yourself in an honest way. Unless you're just a joke guy where you never look at yourself. But it's about me stuff. You have to look at how silly you are in certain moments or why you're doing things. The way you were with an ex, you're like, you could, and mushrooms help too, where you can like, without ego, look at different characters and their faults and their joys, and like, oh, one of those characters is me. Like, you know, and I know that character better than anyone's ever known any character. So you're like, you can judge them and like, let me change that. So that helped. But I was like, all this stuff, like, well, your dad was a hawk. That must have been hard for you. I'm like,
yeah.
A couple.
So it wasn't a lot of childhood stuff that you needed.
Yeah, it wasn't. Like,
not a lot of childhood.
Like, I worked it out. I learned how to cook. It's fine. I don't care. You know.
You had a loving family and a loving community.
Yeah. Exactly. So like, if you look at that as a negative, it was like, my mom once was like, crying one
Because
day.
I had a non-loving family and a non-loving community.
Yeah, that must have been
and,
shitty.
And I've had 20 years of therapy to get into that.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, there's a plot point in like half the movies now, trauma porn.
Yeah.
I kind of hate
Yeah,
it.
trauma is that word, like trauma.
Yeah. It's such a hack. It's at this point, it's like, stop, write a better storyline.
Uh-huh.
But like my mom was like upset because she had to have a job at some point. She wasn't home when we got out of school, and she was like really shaken up by it one day. She was like sharing herself, and I was like, "Mom, I learned how to cook. It's fine. I don't care at all. I saw you at 7. I wasn't thinking that's like, oh, these other kids have their moms at home when they get off school. I just didn't even think about it. Like, chill. So like you could find trauma if you want, but like it just wasn't there. I'm pretty well adjusted.
And you weaned yourself off that?
So then after like 7, 8 years,
Yeah.
I was dating this artist, great artist, Ashley McComber, and she was like going through it all with me, very understanding about everything. And then I was worried because the doctor, the psychiatrist, the one who prescribes, said, just so you know, if you go off, you have to do it with somebody because you can get suicidal if you go off too quick.
Wow.
Brody Stevens, rest in peace. That's what he did. So
I've heard that story before.
Yeah. And he told us too. He's like, I'm going off. We're like, that's troubling. We could have. You know, the thing is like nothing I could have done. We could have done something. We saw some signs. I just didn't know what to look for. But I don't get into that. But like, so like, hey, all my friends, check up on me. If you see me starting acting erratically, let me know. And here's the doctor's number. Let him know. But he said also, if you go off it and the symptoms come back with just depression again, he goes, there's a chance it won't work again if you go back on it.
Oof.
So.
That's scary.
Yeah, like how.
And you had tried so many other drugs too.
Right. So I'm like, I don't know if I'll be able to get back on this. But he said it is like a sprain. And he goes, the amount of time you spent depressed, I think there was a formula where like half that time or double that time, whatever it was, on the pills should set the sprain.
So if you had 3 years depressed and then 7 years on the pill, then
you should be healed. At some point when they take the cast off, they have to take it off first and go, does that hurt? You know, but they have to take it off.
But some people
first.
have a chemical imbalance, and for the rest of their lives, they've got to kind of balance medication.
Yeah. And I don't know which ones are which. Doctors know. So, but I was like, I hadn't been in love in a while. And it was like nagging at me. I was like, it might be these pills. So I was like, I think I want to try.
Are you in love now?
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. But it's been a few times since then. But
okay.
But yeah, and I was like, that seems wrong. So I was like, let me try. My doctor was like, yeah, for sure.
And
no problems at all.
Wow.
Love life. Great. Have your bad days, your blue days, but not like it was. And then remember the first time, like after you get on the right pill, and you like get like an anxious day, and you're like, please don't let this be forever again. And you're like, no, you just have a deadline.
Yeah.
You know, the overlap from depression and anxiety is like,
did going off the pill allow you to feel more emotions?
Yeah. The highs got higher.
Yeah, you had a broader range. Yes.
Yeah. It turned up the color.
Right.
And so it was like the depression was gone before, but now it was like, oh, all the joy was like really there. It was lovely. And then I had missed it for so long. You ever see those videos of those kids hearing for the first time?
Yeah. Like the cochlear implants.
Yeah. Like, oh my, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, that's how it felt again. It was like, I haven't seen you in so long.
Yeah.
Like pure joy.
Not as good as Down syndrome kid plays football.
You saw the new one?
Yeah, I saw your new special. It was great. Tell us about the new special, American Sweetheart. I can't believe what you get away with, and I don't know how you get away with it. I don't know why, because I have a tendency sometimes to kind of like liberal knee-jerk judgment, you know? And there's just it's not something I'm proud of, but the number of like shibboleths that you go for is insane, including Down syndrome kids. Yeah. But somehow you make it funny, and somehow I feel like you're not gonna, like any other comic telling those jokes would get eviscerated in the press, and I feel like you're gonna coast by.
I try to cross my T's and dot my I's. Also, you've seen the final product, so along the way was a lot of angry walkouts.
Oh, wow.
A lot of like complaints to clubs until you tweak and tweak and tweak, learn
just
how to
find
smile
the right tone and a little apology statement here and there.
A touch.
Yeah.
But then also like, I just would rather get a laugh out of a school shooting than out of traffic.
Right.
I just get more joy out of knowing the risk of somebody leaving angry and writing but if you can get there, if you risk it and you lose, it does suck. It just feels bad. I had a bouncer at the
you do a whole session on Kanye West's anti-Semitism. That is pretty,
Thanks.
I mean, it's delicious and it just is.
Yeah, people don't want to think that way.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gotten into fights. I try to take the opposite viewpoint a lot.
You're like, I'm glad Kanye is anti-Semitic. He's got some good points. And we want him a little crazy because that makes to make the best music.
Yeah, that's what artists are nuts. And we shouldn't be asking them to not be nuts. Then we're not going to get good art. Right. They're loony bins. That's what makes them do abstract. Who came up with abstract painting? Not somebody who's nice to his kids. Not someone who's there. Yeah. Bing Crosby beat the fuck out of his children. And we have all-time classes because of that. So my thing is I wanted to try to find the joy in everything. And then like mentally, here was the path pretty much. Jew was a very insular special. I was looking back at a thousands-year-old religion. I was looking back at my version of it, my experience in it, that was from a dead guy. That guy's not existing anymore. That religious Ari is way gone. So I had to like find him again and dig him up and like, what were you into? And then all this stuff from Way with the Holidays, what was it based on? But it's not like my observations now, almost none. So I was like lost in that. It was kind of a lonely way to build an hour. And then I came out of it after years and years, and like the pandemic had happened and Black Lives Matter had happened and like just a bunch of stuff. Trumpism had happened. And like, I came out like back to join the world, and it was a lot of anger. People were just screaming at each other and saying how shitty everything was. And a lot of my friends were like deeply into it. As they started podcasting too, they were all like screaming about stuff. And I was like, man, isn't everything great? And so like, I try to be like a little stir the pot towards happiness. I don't know.
But stirring some real hot button issues. And towards happiness.
Yeah, I'm like, listen, the point is you can find joy in everything. So I could have bitched and moaned about how far I had to drive to get here. Wasn't that far, But I could be like, what the fuck? I could have done one 10 minutes away. I had to do one 45 minutes away. But then like, that's not good for your mental state. Or I can do what I did was, I forgot how beautiful the California scenery was. Getting out of the city a little bit. You're like, damn, maybe I should go on a hike. Like, what are you going to focus on? Makes your life a lot better. So all I'm trying to do with this one.
That's a great mental health tool. Gratitude is a mental health superpower, and it does, because we naturally as humans always look towards what's wrong and what's fucked up and what could potentially go wrong. And that kept us alive, for 100,000 years.
It probably comes from a biological thing.
Yeah.
Like, what's that sound? It might be a monster.
Yeah.
But like, if you just like you've seen those people that are like, aggressively positive that just like see joy in everything. Sometimes they're Jesus people, sometimes they're not. And you're like, damn, their life is fun. And you're like, the world's burning. And they go, what? I had this great new donut today. And you're like, I want to be that guy.
But you've talked a lot about that your mission is to make people laugh. You're a comedian. You want to bring people joy and make them laugh. And you're going to stay away from the big issues. I mean, you're going to use the issues for laughter.
But I'm going, I had this thing for a while. I didn't finish it, but I was like, they want you to go right or left. You can go backwards. You cannot join in at all. So if everybody's crooked, why scream at your friends and relatives for 3 months leading up to an election? Like, if it's going to not bring you joy, then.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah. And it's not going to really shift stuff.
Yeah.
Then get lost. Handle it.
My whole thing is that the partisan political system is so corrupt and broken at its root.
Yeah.
So why... this shitty candidate versus this like slightly more shitty candidate.
Yeah.
Like why get all up in arms about it? There's other ways to try and make the world a better place other than your vote. And there's a lot of people that only care about the state of the world every 4 years when they're voting.
Yeah.
Like, what about every other day of the week? What are you doing to make life better for people?
Taught a yoga class and she's like, I don't vote. People are like, why? She goes, I volunteered at an inner city girls' school instead. Because that's how I want to change the world a little bit. And it's like, damn, you're doing far more than one vote in Hawaii when the election's already been decided. So it's like you're actually changing the world in some way. So what I'm trying to do with this is get one person to turn off the news forever. And then I'll have one. To just not let them get you angry about stuff that you don't need to get angry about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be interested in it, I guess, but like, don't lose any sleep over this stuff. There's too much good stuff. That fucking crazy painting behind you is like art piece, whatever, is cool. I don't want to be thinking about Assad.
In Haiti. On
You got that in Haiti?
In Haiti from a Haitian artist. Yeah.
Wow. That was Haiti.
My wife and I do a lot of work in Haiti doing girls' education for girls living out in the farmlands, and Haiti is a shit show right now. It's tragic. It's you think we have it bad? Like gangs own and run 80% of Port-au-Prince, the capital city of Haiti right now. It is hell on earth. It's a chunk of Somalia, in the Caribbean. It's absolutely nuts.
What's a DR? I'm like, how can this be so rich in soil and they're doing well? And then there's a straight line and then poverty.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of reasons for that, but
then, yeah.
And here we are.
Some positive is you probably met some girl that you like, that is cool down there, that you're friendly with.
Oh, I've made so many Haitian friends, and we're actually helping people and employing people, and we're trying to make a difference. Yeah. You tell one of the funniest sequences I've ever heard in a stand-up special.
Dude, that syndrome thing is going to get me in a lot of trouble, but it's all right.
The Down syndrome football?
Football player, yeah. It's going to get me in trouble, but I'm fine with it. It's all right.
You ready to take it?
Yeah.
The Yoni Feidelberg.
Oh, yeah. That's the ultimate, focusing on positives. I almost named the special Feidelberg. It was like, that was down to the last one.
Wow. Can you give that away, or do people need to watch the special? How do we do that?
How do we do it? I mean, watch the special. It's the closer.
Yeah.
So you got to stay till the end.
Yeah.
You
asked your grandfather, was there good days and bad days in the concentration camp?
Yeah.
And you're like, come on. There's going to be some days that are 72 and Sunday.
Yeah. 72 and sunny versus 59
There are some days
raining.
72 and sunny, and there's some days where it's raining.
It, man.
And then you talk about the celebratory death of the most annoying Jew in the concentration camp, Yoni Feidelberg.
Yeah.
It pains me even saying that right now.
When I did Jew, I would so when you do it on stage, you can look for race groups of something you're talking about to make sure it's okay.
Right.
So like if you're doing a black show, you look, there's a black couple there, make sure they're like smiling. Because sometimes people will be like white guilt for somebody, and you're like, so when I do jokes about Jewish ladies with wigs, and I'd see one once in a while, I'd keep an eye on them, and they're not going, what the fuck, which is important to me. They're going like, I can't believe someone's speaking about my experience. Hey, well, you do that. That's great.
What's with the wigs?
You can't covet your neighbor's wife, so it's a protector.
You could cover. I've coveted many women with wigs before.
I know, but it's not them you're coveting. There's so many loopholes. There's not them you're covering. It's someone else's hair you're coveting. So it's like,
but I'm not coveting the hair. I don't want to like ejaculate on their hair.
Okay, let me say, 100% you're right. This is what they say. Okay, I'm defending a stance I don't stand.
Did you have a class in wig logic and in yeshiva?
Yeah, it's someone else. It's like if you take an average looking woman, put like an Instagram like filter on them, and then they're hot, you think, oh, I'm attracted to this, but you're technically not attracted to that. You're attracted to some filters. The hair.
Did you just come up with that?
I did just right now.
The Instagram filter. That is really brilliant.
Thanks. I wish I had done that.
That shows you that shows your training.
Yeah. So that's their original filter, was a wig.
Okay.
So it's like
the
it's
original
not me.
filter.
I don't really look like this. If you saw my real hair, you wouldn't be that into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although those like spy wigs are so hot.
Yeah.
Oh. And so I'm doing these bits about celebrating the death of a Holocaust inmate. And there's this Hasidic Jew in the audience who is laughing more than I've ever seen anyone laugh, because he was like, I was not allowed. It's like the first time you watch SNL as a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
And you're like, I didn't know there was this humor.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I mean, I could see him in my head still. He's like, oh my God, everybody, what? Because his whole life, you just have to mourn this thing completely.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous thing, but it's like.
But you are literally the only comedian on the planet that could tell that sequence. And, and that's what I was thinking about.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
Is like, his dad's a Holocaust survivor. He gets to tell that joke.
Yeah. Right.
No one else gets to tell it.
You can if you tell it well, but it's nicer to be able to, like, Sarah Silverman could do jokes because she's cute. She can get away with some abortion jokes, but but you are cute. So use that, you know?
Yeah.
So like you could get there, but it might be harder for you. But like I have the lineage, so it might be a little easier for me to tell. But anybody could. But yeah, that's I almost called it that. And then I have this long thing with Nate Bargatze that he's like this clean comic, and we trade joke ideas and tell him about his ideas for jokes. I'm like, that's cool, run with that. And then I would tell him about this death of a Holocaust inmate, and he's like, he's like, Ari, I got to be honest, I don't see how that's going to get laughs. And it's like, well, Nate, unlike you, I perform for bad people, so they're really pieces of shit. So they'll laugh at
two
anything.
different audiences. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, that one might get me in some trouble too, but it's fine. But all I want,
you're ready to take the heat.
It's fine. I just want to bring joy to people.
Yeah.
So if it's not, it's
and
okay.
And if it gets more people watching the special,
yeah. I hope they stay till the end. People turn off specials before the end, but it's like they tell you like, no, make the darkest or like the hardest jokes earlier so people don't tune out. But I'm like, no, I'm not changing my thing for an algorithm. Mm-hmm. Hopefully it'll last till the end.
It was a great special.
Thanks, man.
In Yeshiva in Jerusalem, were you like the life of the party? Like let's get Ari to tell that. Yeah.
There's like an innate sense of humor, like jumping ability, like whatever. You can train it, but there's a story of Tiger Woods passing by John Daly after like a round. John Daly's just drunk.
Yeah.
Won a few majors. Tiger Woods, you know who Tiger Woods is.
Sure.
And John Daly's like, Tiger, come have a drink. And he goes, no, I gotta hit the range. I gotta practice. Like, Tiger, come on, I don't hit the range. And he goes, John, if I had your natural talent, I wouldn't have to hit the range either. You're just better than me. So I gotta practice. So wait, why did I say that?
Because about comedy, about knowing that you had that.
Yeah, so I was a little funny.
You had funny bones,
but then you gotta
they
train
say.
it.
Yeah. I would say the same thing for me. I mean, I'm not a stand-up and never will. I'm not funny in that way. I can play funny characters, but early on, I kind of knew like, oh, I can make the weirdest faces, and I can do the funniest dances, and I can do imitations the best, and I can run into a wall funnier than other people, and people are like, he's funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, where'd that come from? How does that work?
And then you just got to train it. If you're the fastest skater, they're like, give them a stick.
And you do train it because you get stuff out of it, like girls like you, and it gets you more popular, and then
you can have the
people
play football
laugh
or make them laugh.
Yeah,
that's the only. Yeah, dude, when you were calling Billie Eilish, it killed me.
William Eilish, yeah.
It was so great.
And I had a natural suburban Seattle weirdness that translated to kind of odd characters like Dwight and other characters.
Did you guys grow up in the shadow of grunge?
I was there pre-grunge. I left Seattle in '86 to go to college in New York City, and grunge broke like '88, '89.
Yeah.
It was kind of fomenting there, but I didn't really hear it when I was in Seattle.
Yeah, I remember people talking about it my second year in Yeshiva in Jerusalem, talking about Nirvana. And I was like, what is this? Because there was probably Mudhoney when it was before I had left, but nobody knew them. And then I was like, what? And then I got home and then way later figured out how amazing it was, but missing the boat.
It's all heroin.
Yeah, heroin helps a lot. Yeah.
People don't talk about the positive aspects of heroin.
Look at what's his name?
Grunge.
Yeah, grunge and who's that one-liner comedian? I can't remember his name.
Escalators turn into stairs. Mitch Hedberg. Yeah.
That's thankfully we got heroin. They gave us Mitch Hedberg. Without that, it's just some boring guy. Like, what's for food? Yeah. So anyway, that ability to be like, I'm not going to do this. And my friends going, what are you doing? But I'd already just faced that from my yeshiva friends. Going, like, what are you doing switching to Maryland? And so when I'm like, I'm just going to go to California and try, wouldn't even tell them stand up. I just said screenwriting because at least I'd take some classes so I could justify that.
Right. Did you come and take screenwriting classes?
I took in Maryland, a couple.
Do you have a screenplay? Yeah. Everyone in LA is shopping a screenplay. What screenplay are you?
Oh, bro, we did this on stage. My college screenplay. It's called Shooter. This guy got sucked into a television watching He-Man. It was an electrical thing. He always wanted to play college basketball.
Wait. Are you being for real right now?
Yeah.
This is your college screenplay idea. Okay, hit me.
Yeah. He wanted to play college basketball so bad, but he's a great shooter, just slow white guy, autobiographical.
Yep. Okay.
And then there was a power surge watching He-Man. He got sucked in. He-Man granted him powers. This power of speed. And then he started playing. I found the screenplay.
Oh my God.
Thinking like, I can dust this off. I told Joe Rogan had a manager and she goes, hey, if you have one, I can help you. And then I found it, but hadn't read it yet. And I was like, I got the screenplay. It's great. Let me just correct a couple spelling stuff. She said, great. Can't wait to read it. Then I read it. sweating at how bad it was and having to like have to tell this lady how fucking terrible it was. Just like sweating, like cringe to the nth degree. And then 20 years later, I was like, let's put it on stage. So I got David Tell, Stavros, all the best, Dan Soder, Michelle Wolf read
fantastic.
Michelle Wolf read the female lead.
Yeah,
and she just kept saying like, this is the flattest character I've ever read. They're like, can I have one interest, please, besides you? It was so fun. Yeah, we recorded at the Bell House. Just had a blast. I was cringing then too. It was so bad.
I wrote a sword and sorcery short story in 8th grade.
Okay.
It's called like The Curse of the Blacksmith or something like that. And I still have it. And in fact, I just had half my house burned down recently in this fire. And I found it and it was like charred, but it still exists. And I typed it. out. It's like 15 pages. I want to do a reading of that.
You should do a reading of it.
Yeah.
After we did that, we're like, everybody has one.
Of course.
We should all do these readings. Get comedians to play it. Play them as real as you can.
Well, that was an episode of The Office with Michael Scarn reading Threat Level Midnight. I don't know.
Oh, really? I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Who's Michael Scarn?
That was Michael Scott's alter ego as a crime-fighting spy, kind of.
I lost it.
Yeah.
After Will Ferrell took over, I stopped. I like him, but I was like, this isn't the same show anymore.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, that should just be a series of just the worst scream. And hopefully you feel it.
Yeah.
Hopefully like, ugh.
Did you know anyone in LA?
No, so my roommate.
You're 22, 23?
24, because I took 2 years off to go to seminary.
Okay.
And then not all my credits from Yeshiva transferred to University of Maryland.
Right.
Yeshiva
Your Torah classes wouldn't transfer, I imagine.
So I did a year in New York at Yeshiva University, then 3.5 years at University of Maryland, then went. So, and then 2 years in Israel. So 25.
Had you done any comedy at Maryland at all? Improv group,
Nope.
stand-up, open mic?
One time open mic.
Okay.
My friend Ami Butler.
Do you remember any of your jokes from that?
Something about a squirrel. I remember they cut me down from 8 minutes to 6, and I was like, fuck, I had all these notes. I'm scrambling. Had to do 2 shots of Jack and chug a beer just to like get steady.
Okay.
It's so nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I was on Kill Tony recently, and some guy was like kind of stuttering, and he's like, well, that was bad. He goes, hey, are you nervous though? And the guy was like, yeah. He goes, okay, that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's a big stage. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're so nervous your first time.
Mm-hmm.
And a live audience too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like being on a date versus texting a chick. It's so much harder on a date. It's like, how's this going to go?
Stakes are way higher.
Yeah, you can't wait. And like,
so
I was like, I'm going to go to California. So my friend who went to high school with me and then University of Maryland with me, he had moved to Florida with his parents. And he goes, let's go to California. He also wanted to be a screenwriter. And I was like, okay. He talked me into it. Aaron Levine. So we kind of caravaned. We met up in like Tennessee. And then we just drove. He hotboxed the whole way. So he had to drive the speed limit. I wasn't smoking weed then. So I would like drive ahead, find a spot, tell him it's this hotel. Drove cross country. It was a pretty great with one of those plug-in DVD players, you know, with the tape deck thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as I went up, there was a place on Lancashire. It's not there anymore. The Kindness of Strangers. I was like, oh, fuck screenwriting. I'm all in on stand-up.
How did you know that?
Store.
What?
I just loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
And did you get laughs? Do you remember any of those first jokes that you told?
There was a lot of Lewinsky jokes, a lot of like trying to be what you think a comic should be.
Yeah, like I'm going to be an edgy political comic and talk about current events and stuff. Yeah.
It's like you'd watch The Tonight Show. I'm like, I guess that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I didn't know there's probably, same as music.
What year was this?
99.
I moved to LA in the same year.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
LA was so fun.
Mm.
LA was like, it's a cool city to be broken
Mm-hmm.
because even the stars were once waiters and waitresses, so they can at least relate.
Sure.
When you're like, oh, I can't afford a beer. They're like, I get it.
Yeah.
There is a thing like, ugh, who brought the Honda? You know? But like most of them can at least relate to being broke. And there's free shit to do here. There's hikes and there's like cheap burritos.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I loved it here. Then I got a job at the Comedy Store. I was like, I need to work at a club.
Tell me about the trip you're going to take. Where you go? You said you're going 6 to 8 months.
South America.
South America?
Yeah, backpack.
With your girl, by yourself?
I'll figure it out. I don't know. See if I have one then. I don't know.
Okay.
But like, yeah, the point, just like, I don't know.
You speak pretty
sabbatical.
good Spanish?
It's getting better. It's not that good.
Okay.
It's
Where are you going to
better.
go? Are you going to go to Peru?
Start in Mexico. So
Okay.
I'm going to go to Anchorage right before the solstice, do one last gig, and then go up to Barrow. It's called something else now. Yukuduk or something.
Yeah.
To the highest point for the solstice, and then immediately take a flight to Mexico, and then just work my way down to the bottom of Argentina for the next solstice. Just kind of chase the sun.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait, that sounds kind of like hippy dippy. What's up with the solstice thing?
Yeah, it's a little hippy dippy. And then be on the equator it's just something to get you moving. This travel writer, Rolf Potts, talks about, he calls it psychogeography. It's just something that gets you going.
Okay.
So for like Henry Rollins, no matter where he is, he's like, I'm finding a record store. So it makes him move through the city.
Right.
Like, I got to find this record. And as you go 7 blocks to a record store, you're like, oh, this looks like, what is this? What are you going to sell here? Oh,
Okay.
fajitas? Cool.
So there isn't some kind of like
No, it would just kind of be
deeper
cool.
meaning to the solstice.
No.
Just kind of like, here's a cool way to bookend it.
It'd be cool in 24 hours of sunlight, but you could get that in Anchorage.
Mm-hmm.
Almost. And same thing there. 24 hours of sunlight would be cool. Just, I don't know. It's just cool to dip your toe in the
And you're going to do like buses and trains and
buses, trains, hostels. I did it in Southeast Asia in 2017 for 4 months, just by myself, backpack like a dirtbag.
And do you write jokes? What do? You journal?
Man, you think you would?
Are you going to
didn't.
record stuff? What are you going to do?
So I'm going to have enough podcasts recorded, because these are all evergreen, the one I do now. It's not political. It's not nothing. That I can put them out while I'm gone. Once a month, I'm going to do all like the bumpers of like, if it's comedian, like here's their dates or their special or whatever coming out. And then all my ad reads, just once a month, I'll sit there and do it all, send it in, take care of that. And then, so I'll still be like working, I guess.
Yeah.
If I meet a crazy traveler, I'm like, oh, this is what, if you just
Are you going to bring some recording equipment?
Yeah, I'm trying to find as small.
What about
as
writing
possible.
a book? What about writing like a
I'm trying to do that too.
memoir-y kind of funny book?
Yeah. Yeah. So my buddy, that travel writer, Rolf Potts, he's like, there's no humor in this space, in the travel space. It's all either foreign prisons or the most amazing time of my life.
Yeah.
And there's no like, just shit on the fucking service in Cambodia. Just like have fun, So I got to do it. I just haven't been able to do it. Such laziness. The phone's half of it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, I would love to like commit to like a book of stories or something. You've done it. How hard was it?
Bringing your laptop?
I don't know. It's going to be hard to lug that around. I'm trying to minimize as much as possible, but I think I would have to write.
It's a super thin
Yeah.
MacBook Pros or whatever.
Like a 13-inch.
Yeah.
Just, I don't need it for much.
Yeah.
Just to upload and
it's
send.
super light. I mean, those are like 10 ounces or something.
Yeah. And if it gets stolen, whatever, the cloud, no big deal.
Yeah.
But man, Southeast Asia was the best. There's this freedom that you feel when you don't have to be anywhere that I didn't realize I felt until I came back, and was just like, it's like responsibility came.
Right. And your iCal, and like every day I check like, oh, I got a 3 o'clock Zoom and I've got to call that guy back. And
Clerical stuff that your agent or manager hits you with, or someone else hits you with.
I got to do the DocuSign.
Yeah. It's like, oh, do I have to download? I thought I had it already. Do I got to download an app to get this? Just shitty stuff that's not really your passion. It should just come like, hey, we need more toilet paper. Make sure to stop by and get some. I'm like, okay, anything. And then it was just all gone in Asia. It was just like, where do you want to? I want to go there next. Somebody tells me about a festival that way, and I'm like, all right, I'll shift. Let's go that way.
And now cell phones, you can reach anyone around the globe. Your friends can reach you, right?
When I went to Asia, I locked myself out of everything.
Really?
Yeah. So I can't fully do this. I'll minimize. I might get a new phone and like maybe just give my number to like my podcast producer and maybe my mom. I don't know. Maybe a couple friends. Because I also don't mind if like some people come visit me on this one. Like if I'm going to go to Galapagos and you've always wanted to go, meet me.
Yeah. Right. Are you going to Galapagos?
I lived in Ecuador for 6 months for the pandemic. My job was done, so I took my dog.
The COVID hit Ecuador really hard.
Yes.
On the coast, Guayaquil. Because we were supposed to go to Galapagos right at that time.
Oh, they shut it.
And they shut it down. And then not only that, they were showing on the news like the body bags in Guayaquil.
Yeah.
For some reason, it hit there really bad.
So because of that, there was these videos of these kids walking to school past a pile of bodies.
Yeah.
So the country was like, we're no longer worried about what might work and what doesn't work. Anything that even might work, we're doing.
Yeah.
They had alternate day driving, depending on your license plate, to minimize human contact. It was like anything that you think is ridiculous. Like, what do we care? We don't want to have our kids walk past a dead body anymore.
Right.
So they're driving with masks in their car alone. And it's like, what? Like, we don't give a fuck. We're not going back to that. So
they're still using bleach on their groceries.
yeah, it was terrible. And then it was way better than here in terms of Coke. So we narrowed down the list of places that like are decent on it. And that was one. So it was like, all my friends were doing this thing. Like you go to the airport, they go turn around, Arizona shut down, your gigs are done. And I'm like, let me just go somewhere. So, but I have my phone for that. But I locked myself out of everything in Asia. I changed all my passwords to this. I went like, change password to this, pasted it, sent it to a friend. So I couldn't get it.
So you couldn't get on even if you wanted
My
to
email
log into
was
your
the
email?
last one.
Yeah.
Take it. And then the last thing I did with my phone was I called it Uber. It was on its way. Then I put my phone in my drawer and shut it. Used my credit card to get my ticket to Myanmar. And I had no way to contact or be contacted.
Myanmar's intense.
It was great. Yeah. Yeah.
Military junta. And,
They don't let you in those areas.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know that was there.
You're there and it's like, oh, what a nice street food. And
Yeah, it's like being in Berlin during the Holocaust. Like, there's nothing wrong here.
yeah.
You know, it's like those are the outskirts.
Did you see that Holocaust movie, The Zone of Interest? Did you see Zone of Interest?
Is that where the guy's working and his
family?
family?
It's the family living outside of the walls of the Holocaust.
Yeah, I heard about it. He's just got like it's his like, honey, I'm home.
It's just, yeah, exactly. And the dog is barking too much, but you kind of hear the roar of the ovens you can kind of see some ashes fall down on their garden and stuff.
You get used to it. I got to watch that one.
It's so beautiful. It's beautifully
Really?
done, haunting, and it is one of my favorite movies.
Damn.
Yeah, you got to check it out.
Yeah.
So one of the questions we ask our guests recently is, I'm trying to do this podcast about the human condition and
Soul boom.
spirituality.
Interesting. Oh,
Soul
that's
boom.
what it is? Oh,
Soul
that's why
boom.
you're interested in the Jew stuff.
And I love that you didn't know that. And
Can I get these online? I would love to buy one online.
wow, there's our commercial right there.
I mean, this seems, in this day and age, you should be able to put it up on RainnWilson.com.
Yeah, no.
Damn it. Soulboom.com.
Somewhere.
All
What is
right.
it? Soulboom.com? Okay, I don't even know. but one of the things we try and do is define this word soul. It's a strange word. It means a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Rhythm to some people.
Yeah, sure. It can mean angels, to other people. When you hear the word soul, how would you define it? What does it mean to you?
I usually, unless I'm listening to a lot of gospel at the time, think of it as whatever is in there. So depending on who you are, it's like whatever's in there. In Jews, it's usually a bag of diamonds that we move to the side in order to make room for what's right and what's wrong. It's a weird thing. I think about it sometimes because it's nothing. There is no soul. But that's the only part of you that keeps you alive. You can bring any car back to life with a little fix-it, but you can't bring a body back. A healthy 25-year-old, if you just put your hand over their mouth and nose for, 2 minutes, they're gone. The soul's gone. You can put more air in. The body doesn't work anymore.
Electric charges.
It might even be able to move a little bit.
Pump liquid
but it never
through.
gets back.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's what the soul is, right? It's this thing that once it's gone forever. I don't. It's weird. Once I left,
You're not
religion,
sounding very atheistic right now.
Yeah, but I don't know what it is. Like when I went and took anytime I take mushrooms and you're connected to the universe, does that mean God? I'm like, I don't know what it means. I don't know what aspirin, how that works. It works the same for everybody. Just because I don't understand it doesn't mean the telephone, that's not God. Somebody made it. I can't explain it. But yeah, what is that thing that makes an actual life? And then I don't know if that goes on somewhere else or not, but it's that spark, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ever see, what was that show that Cross started doing? I think he did the last season of it. I don't know if you know David Cross. The Umbrella Academy. You ever see that? Oh, this is weirdo, maybe an alien or whatever. And he took these sparks and put them in play, and they were just and they gave him powers or whatever, just in 20 kids around the world. And it just gave them special powers. But what was that thing? That's what the soul is kind of thing. What, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know.
I've stumped you.
Yeah.
What would they say in the yeshiva?
They
What
don't
would
think they
say?
talk about soul.
They talk about
it's you. It's the powers in you.
the essence of you, the heart, the consciousness of you. That's not brought up in yeshiva. Just wigs and
That's all weird Kabbalah
and-
stuff,
Okay.
which they don't ever even teach. That's when you get into ghosts and the afterlife stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really. There's that's not doing you any good. That's an original thing too. It's just you need to learn how to separate this meat and this milk. Don't worry about heaven. You go if you do it. You don't have to know about it.
Okay.
Who's this pilot? Shut up. Whoever it is, he's getting us there. What is the soul? Damn, brother, I don't know. What does Baha'i say?
We have meat suits
Okay.
for 80, 90 years, if we're lucky.
Yeah.
And whatever that kind of divine essence is that I won't say is in our meat suit, but is related to our meat suit, continues on a journey.
Continues on
A journey. Not like heaven and hell, but just the next plane of existence, going ever closer to the divine.
You kind of have to believe that. But I mean, even flowers too, you can't bring a flower back to life. Once that's too gone, they can wilt and you can bring them back, like sickness in a human, and then like now you're back to healthy. But like once they're gone, it's also gone. So that must also have a soul. But then like, where does it, you really need to believe that it keeps going. And that's what the end of Lord of the Rings was. You get cross over the story's not done. These guys have to keep going, and like the soul goes up to heaven and lives on. So it's like, you can't wrap your head around like extinguishment.
A lot of people can and don't seem to have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I've spoken to a few of them. I don't get that. To me, that saps all kind of meaning and purpose out of life.
I think it's sort of, but that also is what is the meaning if it doesn't go on or anything? It's like good connections, fun with your friends. I don't know. You gotta have some meaning. Otherwise, just pure nihilism, and then just kill yourself.
If you find, that's my next book is on the meaning of life. So if you find some meaning on your travels in South America, let me know.
Okay. You know the antinatalists?
No.
The guy from The Cure is one. It's all life is suffering, so you have no right to do that to someone. And then it goes, why don't you kill yourself? It's like, because this fucking life put a need to keep going in me. That's how fucking awful it is.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Robert Smith is one of those?
Antinatalist.
A natalist.
Yeah. No, an antinatalist.
Antinatalist.
Yeah. I gotta look more into it, but yeah, it's a wild way to be.
Wow.
But I get it. All life is suffering, so why do it? It's like,
Yeah.
I would have to think about it way longer to be able to try to disprove them, but also like, maybe you're right. You're smart. Yeah, you're smart. Still wearing makeup at 90.
It's been a pleasure speaking with you and getting to know you, and your story is fascinating.
You too, Rainbow.
Oh, thanks, sweetie. Let me know how that trip goes.
Okay. Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
I'm just putting it all
away.
away.
I don't have the balls to do that. I really admire that you're doing that.
Yeah. I'm scared.
That's incredible.
Yeah, but
you've already done it.
I've done it. I can see the path.
So
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, brother.
Thanks, Ari.
Yeah, thank you.
The Soul Boom Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else you get your stupid podcasts.